You do not see what you see. It's not what you see. Yeah.
We could put it this way, I think, Yotika, what we think we see is not what in fact we see.
What we think we see. Yeah.
Is not what in fact is seen. Yeah.
No, in fact is seen, and then you go to the conventional and not to the ultimate thing, what you see.
Correct. Yes.
Like
so what we think we see is not in fact what is the object of eye consciousness.
Dus die object is nama en rupa.
The object of eye consciousness is just visible object.
Visible object. Visible object. Is color, is form.
That sort of thing.
That sort of thing.
Well, I mean, there's no individual or exact name for visible object. If we say color, it's not exactly correct to say that visible object is color, because the visible object, color is only perceived or apparent after there is thinking about the visible object. So the idea of red or green is a factor of the thinking process that follows the experiencing of the visible object.
Oh, really? So is that already thinking if you say it is green?
Well, if you think you are looking at a red book, for example, then that's already thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
About the visible object.
Is thinking about the visible object, because the visible is the form and the color, or the form.
No, form is not the object of eye consciousness. Just what is visible is the object of eye consciousness. But there's no single word for that in the English language anyway.
Okay, I have to think about it.
It's a slightly tricky one, because we are so used to thinking of the visible object in terms of the thinking of the conceptual idea of what is seen.
Yeah.
Jyotika, close your eyes. Is there any seeing?
No, I think it's more like gray or
but there is seeing. There is seeing, but you wouldn't think that there's a form that is seeing. But there is seeing, and there is something that is seen. What is seen, the seeing sees, is what we call visible object. I think the word form can be misleading because form we usually think it apply to seeing shapes and form or something as something. But when you close your eyes, there is seeing, but you don't know. I mean, you can't say it's seeing something. You may come to think that you're seeing black, and that's again, as John was saying, is thinking about a color.
Really?
But surely there is seeing.
Yeah, there is seeing, but this
seeing, experiencing something. I mean, it has its own object, but that object is not shape or form that we usually think in terms of. We think about, because shape and form is thinking. So if there's a sense of seeing a form, that is already thinking.
And the same with the color.
Yeah, it's already thinking. Okay.
As soon as we think now, oh, mauve or blue or yellow or green, it's not what is seen, it's what is thought about instantly. And an important point is what is seen it's just the same, no matter whether there's ignorance or understanding. It's always just the same visible object that is seen, regardless. So whether or not there's any understanding, it's still just what is visible that is seen. But usually the point that Nina and Jonathan and Sukin have been making, usually instantly there's the idea of something there, a form, a color, a shape, a pattern, something that is seen, not the reality that is seen.
Yeah.
So it's not as though the reality experienced is any different when there's understanding. It's just that there is more understanding that develops to begin to understand it as it is, as it's always been, but not known at all. It's just the same with sound. So usually it's straight away there's the idea of the sound of something, but it's just what is heard for an instant and then gone, no matter whether it's heard and thought about with ignorance or understanding. It's just what is heard, that moment of hearing, just the same.
Is then also sound is not what is heard?
The sound is always just what is heard, but
Yeah.
the sound that is thought about is an idea about the sound.
Not
This sound or that sound or the traffic sound or the
yeah.
tree sound or the sound of someone making coffee. So it's usually what is thought about straight away, but it's just what is heard, no matter whether there's any understanding or not.
Yeah.
So the Buddha didn't teach anything different from how it's always been. It's just that he pointed to the understanding of how it is, how it's always been, but not known at all, because it's always been taken for something so quickly. This color, this shape, this pattern, this person, something all the time.
My question is coming from that there is said the simile for the khandhas, and then the last one that it is like a musician's truc, the seeing, the consciousness.
The chitta, the consciousness, yes, because
but is it not? It's not the chitta, but it is the seeing or the hearing or the, isn't it? The chitta.
So seeing is chitta, hearing is chitta, and what the chitta can think about and imagine is so much greater than any artist or magician or musician can produce, because it arises and falls away so rapidly. So like now, the idea of what is seen in different people's backgrounds, this is all because of Chitta, the magician, thinking and imagining so quickly about different ideas, different images, but the seeing just sees and then is gone.
And we must remember that Chitta has different functions. So seeing is one function of Chitta, and thinking about what has been seen is another function of Chitta.
Yeah,
but all Chittas are like a magician's trick.
I do not get it. A magician is really making something what is not true. There is something, I know that it is not true what he is doing, but we like it.
Right now, if it was not for Chitta and Sanya, okay, the perversion of Chitta and Sanya, there wouldn't be the idea that what is seen are different friends and different colors and different patterns and different shapes. But because of that, like that sleight of hand, the magician is at work at each moment with the perversion of Sanya and other realities. conjuring up these images and ideas all the time. And this is why Ajahn has been stressing a lot that citta has to be understood as the reality, not I, the reality that arises and falls away at each instant, which is the chief in experiencing the object, no matter whether it's a visible object or the idea, the image that is thought about.
So can you say that one of the biggest tricks is then to think that there is an I?
Yes, the greatest illusion of all.
Yeah, the greatest illusion. And that's also, you can also say that's the seeing then, wrong seeing.
Not the seeing itself just sees. The seeing doesn't imagine wrongly, because all the seeing does arises and sees the object. It's the perversion of citta, the thinking that follows, that imagines it's this and that person, and that there's a self that sees. At the moment of seeing, there's no perversion of seeing, no perversion of citta, no perversion of memory. It's just the result, citta. But the perversion comes with the akusala cittas that follow, the cittas arising with ignorance and usually attachment, taking it for this and that and liking this one and that one.
But Jyotika, as John was saying earlier, it's the magician in reference to the citta itself. It's not a question of with ignorance or with perversion. It's the citta itself that is a magician. And what Panya understands is exactly that the citta is behaves like a magician. So even if it's seeing it, or it's ignorance, or it's understanding, the citta itself is a magician.
The citta itself, I always thought that the citta was always right.
Can I just add something here, Jyotika? We discussed this the other day, maybe you weren't here, but the sutta that you're referring to, that has the simile of the magician's trick, is a sutta about how all realities, all conditioned realities, are void, hollow, and insubstantial. And the simile of the magician's illusion, or the magical illusion, is given in order to help us understand that citta is void, hollow, and insubstantial. So we have to be careful about how we try to imagine our idea of magical illusion, or a magician performing a trick or something like that.
Yeah.
It may not be exactly that, because, as you say, citta experiences the object. And at the moment of experiencing, at the moment when I consciousness experiences visible object, there's no illusion at that moment. But we do not appreciate that citta itself is insubstantial, has no substance. And so that's the point of the simile.
I don't know.
I think in brief we
Now
can say
I understand.
that any citta is anatta, it's insubstantial, it arises and falls away. But the illusion is not at the moments of seeing or the moments of hearing. The illusion is when the citta is vipalasa, when there is a perversion of citta following it. So any citta is insubstantial and hollow, but no perversion of citta except when the akusala cittas arise subsequent to seeing. Seeing is just a vipaka citta. Like the seeing now when there's ignorance and not understanding, or the seeing when there is understanding, or the seeing of the Buddha with, it's just seeing, just the same, or the seeing of the cat, the seeing of the rat. It's still just seeing the reality which arises and sees the visible object, nothing else. It's not, there's no illusion at those moments at all. The illusion comes afterwards.
And is it because of the combination from the Chitasikas who are coming with the Chitta?
Because of the accumulated ignorance. The ignorance and wrong understanding that has been accumulated for countless lifetimes, which follows so quickly after the seeing. 3 more moments and then there's ignorance and the perversion of citta instantly. And then more and more in the mind or processes that follow.
You have to think about it, or you have to wait till I can understand. Yeah.
I'd like to just greet Ajahn and everyone too. Sawadika, Ajahn.
Sadhika, everyone.
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์ Hello everyone.
Shanti, I'm just looking at the message you posted. Would you like to mention anything or not?
I think that without considering carefully to understand the truth, which is so very subtle, it's impossible to just think about it, no matter in such a way, different ones, different idea all the time. For example, without the reality which arises and experiences an object, can there be any magician or anything? Not only what we take for a magician. That's why learn to understand the absolute truth of a reality as it is. For example, when we talk about the reality which experiences an object, and it has to arise by conditions never absent at all. So is there that reality now? See, to understand the characteristic of it as no shape, no form, but arises to experience the proper object by conditions. For example, the moment of seeing, it cannot experience anything else. It's there. No one at all. It's there, conditioned by many conditions arising and experiencing the object. At moment of seeing, it experiences that which is seen. No word for it, whether it's color or visible object or whatever, but it's the chief of experiencing the different reality which can be seen. Otherwise, how can it come together to be the shape and form, the image that is taken for something like a plate or a curtain or a flower, if they are not different, to be seen differently too, by conditions. Nobody can change the red color to be green. So what is seen is a reality which has its characteristic to be or to appear as such and such green or red. No idea at all about it, because the reality which is conditioned to see just arises to see. But there cannot be just one kind of seeing. There are so many different seeing and not the same at all. Even one cannot be the same. It is there and then gone instantly. What arises after is not the same one by different conditions, different moments. That's why learn to understand the truth of what is there as it is, not anyone, not anything, but different characteristic of reality, which is conditioned to be different, appearing through 6 doorway, 1 doorway at a time. And the magician is that what is seen and gone does not appear as it's not there anymore, because the other reality arising after followed instantly. No time to think about the past one, the one that has gone, because the new one is there. Experiences on and on and on, condition different experiences to be different things, like a smartphone. We think about the way it can be appear as such and such different one, but seeing is seeing, no thought about anything at all. We read, we understand what it's there, no matter what subject or what kind of the way we study, but it's by seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Without seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, thinking, how can there be such different things? So there must be the source of what is there from moment to moment to be something like the magician. Because in truth, it's just a moment of seeing, a moment of hearing, a moment of smelling, a moment of tasting, a moment of touching, a moment of thinking. So where am I? Impossible, no I at all. But without understanding what is there as it is, because whatever arises and appears can appear by way of nimitta of a reality, together with many realities. It appears as nimitta of something, someone, different moment, all the time. That's why the way magician perform the trick is just like taking what is not there as is there to be known, to appear, to mislead the other, to take it in such way that it's not that at all. For example, can that which is seen be something like a doll or car? Impossible, because in truth, it's just a moment of seeing. But so many moments, so many different objects of seeing, conditions such nimitta, the image, to take it for something all the time, from life to life, eons and eons ago. So there's the idea at moment of seeing, because no understanding of that which experiences and that which is seen gone instantly. That's why I consider the truth of what is there, to begin to understand, to have confidence whether it's true or not, because it's there. Before there's seeing, there's no seeing. Is that right? And then how come seeing? No one can make it arise at all. And then it's gone instantly. Who knows? But the truth is that. That's why no matter citta is the chief of experiences, the object, it has to arise each moment, experiences an object. But who knows? Who understands that there is a reality at moment of seeing something or thinking about something, smelling of something all the time. But in truth, what is there see? What is there hear? What is there smell? What is there taste? What is there touch? And what is there think? In different manners, in different idea, thought about whatever is there. So different from moment to moment, even in one, what we take for a person, a citta arising and falling away in series all the time, the stream of that which arises, falls away, and condition the next one, and the one which gone, condition the next one, on and on, different conditions to be different moments. But we can learn about it because that was the enlightened one, the Samma Sambuddho's Gautama, enlightened the truth. And he show or demonstrate the truth of what is there, to be known for anyone who hear and think and consider the truth, to understand what is there in life from moment of birth to death. For example, we are accustomed, we are familiar with the word a reality arises and experience an object, but where is it and when is it and what is it? Even is there. That's why the Tipitaka has such word, open up the chitta, because it's covered up all the time. Or that which is so subtle can be known little by little at moment of hearing and considering, and be truthful to the truth. Seeing is there now. It sees, and then gone. It cannot hear. It cannot think at all. That's why a moment is so short, in split seconds, unknown, until learning to understand the different reality at different moments. Like seeing is not hearing as much as it appears, because the other citta does not appear. Now seeing and then hearing and then thinking through 6 doorways only. But what is there before seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching? And what is there after seeing, after hearing? They are so true because there has to be different moments. There cannot be seeing at moment of hearing. And when seeing is gone, how can the other reality arise to see or to hear instantly? There must be the gap in between. That is moment before seeing and moment before hearing. Just learn to understand the way it is. No hurry to experience it, to have it show up so clear, to be known that no one there. But all dhammas are so very subtle. What is taken for something by shape and form. But in truth, what is that? No matter it's the different kinds of music instrument, but what is that sound? So different. So the source of the world and of any subject we study must be from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching, and thinking only. And where are they now? Only one moment of seeing and hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, to learn to understand what is taken for I, or people, or someone, or thing, are only different realities arising and falling away in succession, the string of that which is endless when there's still conditions for whatever arises. It arises like now. Time to see is there. It's conditioned to see. Even there is hearing. They cannot be together, but the truth is so very subtle. The truth does not appear as it is. That's why we learn to have confidence of the truth, to understand that we live in the world of what? Nimitta, shape and form, image of that which is experienced through 6 doorways. Uncontrollable, sunyata, they are gone. Senses useless. But it seems it's so very important. Each moment is object of clinging, taking it for so very important. But in truth, it's not there anymore. That's why learn to understand just one reality, to understand the truth, which is different from the other one by one, to have more confidence of the truth, that what is there is conditioned to just arise and fall away instantly. We just take it for, it's so permanent, it's something or someone all the time. So what is right and what is wrong? What is true and what is not true? What is true? Can it be known and directly experienced, realize the truth of it because it's so true. It really arises in false way, not just by thinking, but in truth. So just learn a little more of the truth. You have confidence that it's not there. Once it's gone, never to arise again. From birth to death, never come back, never return. What is that gone? Is that true? Can it be directly experienced? Little by little, stage by stage, even if they're seen or heard, it's something. The sound of music, the sound of a baby cry and so on, everything. Only thinking after seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. See what is that? What is that? It seems like it's something, but in truth, it's just a reality. And gone, never to arise again. Is there anyone who can do anything?
No.
How many moments of hearing? And what are they in between? They're seeing too. Not the same that way. Alternately, arising and falling away. So many things unknown, not just only seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, thinking. More than that. That vichitta before seeing. What are they? Different sound again. Is there ignorance, attachment of that which is heard?
There is sound.
And is there a reality which hears the sound?
Yes.
Does anyone think about it?
It's hearing.
Does anyone think about the reality which hears the sound?
There is thinking about it, yeah.
Really, or not yet? Just attend to the sound, no thought about the hearing, the reality, not I or anyone at all.
Ajahn, you explained that the reality which experience does not appear. It's the story, because we think about it, but it should be considered again and again to understand really that reality, to understand really what seeing is, because we think, oh, we all know what seeing is, but we really don't know. We have not considered enough. So I hope Ajahn can help us to consider more, to really penetrate the reality and not only think of the story.
That's why now we talk about the reality which sees. We don't talk about that which is seen, because what appears is that which is seen, not that which sees. Right?
Yeah, what is
That's
seen?
why we begin to talk about it, to really understand it, that even at moment of seeing, it's not that which appears, but it's that which no shape and no form arises and falls away before seeing. It is such characteristic, performs such function, experiencing the object. Its function is the reality of that which arises to experience an object. As hardness is real, sound is real, smell is real, how can that not be a reality which arises to experience an object? So, by conditions, to condition the reality to arise to experience is different from the condition to condition that which arises and cannot experience any object. We just learn to understand the truth of life, of the world, of anywhere, without that which arises and experiences an object. See, only this has to be considered. It is true for now. If the object does not appear, that will appear, but without understanding or with understanding. For example, falling fast asleep, nothing appears. And then we use the term wake up. See, it's different from moment of sleeping, because there must be the reality which is conditioned to arise, as hardness is conditioned to arise. There's condition for that reality to arise, to experience. But the other reality, like hardness and smell, is conditioned to be only that which cannot experience. They are Dhamma. They are reality. So natural, because it's there. Without condition, it cannot be there. But the pure system, the reality, which no matter seeing or hearing, it experiences what is seen and what is heard. And when it's not the object which appears, not sound which appears, it experiences the object which does not appear, because it's the object which is not through the six knowing. We know that. It's there at moment of being first asleep. And the moment of birth is just like the same. The object does not appear. The moment of death is that which experiences the unknown object, because it's by the same Dhamma, and it just perform different functions, but they experience the same object by Dhamma. Never change. The object of birth moment and death moment and the bhavanka with the objects that sort of appear, because they are not objects through the sixth way. It's there. Never lost in the action at all, but unknown when the object does not appear. That's why to learn to understand the pure nature of the reality, which doesn't have any shape or form at all, only the characteristic of arises and experience. That's why it's a reality, the chief of experiences, and the other reality which arises to experience object, but it is not the chief, but it lies for this life, that is its experience, different ones, and that can be known when there is condition to arise again and again and again non-stop, different moments, different conditions. This is different life from moment to moment. To to learn to understand the truth that we are talking about the term, the word chitta and cetasika and rupa, but what appears, even the anger, unpleasant feeling, pain, or whatever is there, to know that it's pain, or it's hunger, or it's uncomfortable feeling, or whatever. The characteristic of whatever is that appears, but no understanding of that which is a reality, to form different functions by different characteristics, and then gone. Everything is gone. Only conditions for whatever arises. It arises. It cannot change to just when there are conditions no arising. So each moment of what appears is by the proper conditions for only such object, only that particular one, and then gone. That's why we cannot change anything at all. What is seen already. We cannot change the present object to be a present object, or any situation at moment of seeing. Each moment is conditioned and gone, and not understanding the truth because it arises in false way in succession, so very rapidly, and no understanding the reality which arises but cannot understand the truth. It's so real because now it cannot understand seeing, and it does not understand because it is the characteristic which just arises, experience the object, but no understanding. It cannot understand a reality different from moment when it is the idea of that an I or something. One cannot understand anything, just experience the object without any understanding, and the other experience the same object but with attachment to that which is there, because no understanding of the truth that is not there at all. So very complex, very subtle, the condition. What is there to be known, little by little, to understand the truth. And it takes quite a long, long time to understand even the word like the reality which experiences an object. And the chief one, the one who is achieved, is that which just arises and experiences the object, no matter what object is which is experienced is so different taste, no word, but the taste is different color, no word, because it's there, different color. Otherwise, how can there be the idea of such shape and form to be taken for this and that? Is it true? First begin to understand the reality which experiences the object. If we didn't talk about moment of birth, how can there be the understanding of even it does not appear? Because the object of that which arises does not appear, and itself cannot appear because no shape or form of. But it's the experiencing the unknown object, because the characteristic, the nature of it is that it's the reality which arises by condition to experience an object, no matter the object is through six doorways or even through the six doorways. As it's there, it experiences the object, no matter at what moment it arises, it experiences the object. Moment of birth, moment of not moment of seeing, moment of experiencing sound or smell. It's there, the reality which arises and experiences the object. If we forget it, if we don't attend to the characteristics which now we say seen, but it's not the object which is seen, it's that which sees. And when it's not this which is seen, or the object through the sixth domain, it's there. Experiences the unknown objects. But it has to be done. But it's not dead body, it's not that what we call dying yet. So even at moment of being fresh, falling fresh asleep, the reality which is there arises and experiences the object all the time, from moment to moment, from them. No matter each moment of seeing or hearing, which experiences an object, no matter what object is there, it experiences as long as it's not there yet. So it's there. And the Tipitaka says, opening citta up, because it's not around. And now, hearing again and again, is moment of beginning to open it, to know that it's there. Now,
it's all the time being in the two ways. There is the conditional way, and then the ultimate way. I think this. So the object cannot hear, the object cannot see. It is the other side is seeing, hearing.
And it's because of the very rapid arising and falling away of realities, including the chittas, that there is the idea of self all the time. And this is the illusion, the magical illusion that there is something there and there is someone there, but actually what arises is gone instantly and without any substance. And so this is why it's said that the citta is even more fleeting than a magical illusion created by a magician, because it gives the impression that there is someone there, someone walking, standing, sitting, this color and this activity, but actually it's deceiving like an illusion because of its rapid arising and falling away, just like a conjuring trick, misleading us all the time.
And it looks so real.
Yes, the illusion looks so real, but actually there's just the rapid arising and falling away of one citta after another, taken for something, someone all the time. So that's why without the development of understanding, the illusion can never be seen for what it is, as a fantasy, the fantasy of I, someone sitting here, walking, standing, behaving in different ways. Actually, they're just different cittas arising, experiencing their objects, moments of seeing, just seeing what is visible, falling away, moments of hearing, moments of thinking, one citta after another, no one that's experiencing and nothing that's experienced, no shapes, no forms, no colors as we think of them, just what is seen, just what is heard, and then what is thought about by the perversion of citta and memory all the time. But better to know the magician's trick for what it is, better to begin to understand that it is an illusion that we live in all day, every day.
It's hard to believe, eh?
But when we discuss now, I think you can appreciate that it is just sound that is heard. It is just what is visible that is seen. And what is thought about is an idea about the sign of what is heard, the sign of what is seen, what is touched and so on. We think we're touching a table or a phone now, but it's like just hardness that is touched and gone instantly.
I appreciate very much. I appreciate very much, and I listen again and again.
Yes. And without understanding, there can never be any waking up to the truth. So that's what the Buddha's teaching is all about. It's the waking up to the truth, little by little. Yes.
As Sarah has just said, we can appreciate at an intellectual level that the sound that is experienced at the ear door, that sound doesn't have any meaning intrinsic to it. It is only the thinking about the sound that has been experienced that it is attributed to be the sound of something, or if it's the sound of a voice or a speaker, words, the words have meaning and context. And that is all a product of thinking, not the product of experiencing the sound, because the sound that is experienced is just sound. And yet it appears immediately as a voice, someone speaking, words, meaning, recognizable context. So that's, I think, an example that everyone can appreciate of how we are deceived by the speed of the moment of consciousness.
That's very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, Sarah, John.
And the aim of the development of understanding is not that the thinking should stop, because the thinking is a necessary part of life in samsara, but that the different realities should be seen for what they are, so that at the moment the moment of experiencing the sound is not known. There is only what appears to us is just the thought about concepts of the sound that being experienced. And the development of the path is coming to have a better understanding that there are other realities appearing that are not presently known, and these can become apparent to panya, to understanding, gradually over a period of time, by reflecting on what the Buddha's description of the world as it truly is.
Sadhu, sadhu. And today I can only be here for 1 hour.
It's good that you brought your topic up at the start, then, Jyotika.
Yeah, it was through the musician. The musician.
Nina, did you have anything else you wished to say, or did you finish with your topic that you were bringing up?
That citta is the chief of understanding an object. That we have to know that not only in words, that was stressed a lot by Ajahn. And usually we only know the words, but not the reality. So I was wondering how to consider more the absolute truth. Because we think we know that seeing is the chief, and the Cetasikas are accompanying Citta and are not the chief, but Citta is the chief. But we really don't consider that enough, I feel. And also, I would like to know again the sutta, this sutta about the magician, if anyone can give that to me, because I might use it.
I'll put a link, I'll put a note in the chat link because I wrote a Zoom jotting all about it with a quote. So I'll put a link there.
That's very nice.
I'll do that in a few minutes' time.
Yeah.
The Pena Sutta. And with regard to seeing as the chief, it's now sort of a moment of experiencing what is visible. The seeing is the leader, it has to see it. And the other Chaitasikas all perform their parts, their roles, their functions, like the Passa has to contact it, and the Vedana feels, and the Manasikara attends to it, and so on. But only seeing sees it. So seeing is the only reality that experiences what is visible, just as it is at the moment of seeing. And at the moment of hearing, the same. Hearing is the only reality which hears the sound, but it has to be assisted by all the other Chaitasikas. So it's daily life, and it's now.
And if it is more realized, not only the word, there's more confidence, as Ajahn stresses again and again. But that confidence is lacking because not enough direct understanding.
And sometimes we get caught up by the words, but at this moment, no matter what it's called, there is that experiencing, that seeing of what is seen. And no doubt at all, at a moment of understanding, it is just seeing which sees it and gone instantly. So it is the confidence that develops with the understanding of what is real at this moment. So seeing can be known because it's just the reality that experiences what is seen. So it has to be known by its nimitta, by its sign, because the seeing itself arises and falls away so very rapidly, countless times, even in an instant while we're talking. But the sign of seeing, that reality which just sees what is visible, can be known. And at those moments, there is confidence that it's true. No one there to experience anything. Just that reality which sees what appears at this very moment.
And the difference between the reality which experiences and the reality which does not experience anything. We just know that in theory. We all know that in theory, but it's not realized directly yet.
But it's true at this moment. So what is seen now, what is visible now, doesn't know anything about anything. It's just what is seen, the color that is seen now, the reality which is seen is just seen. It doesn't experience, it doesn't understand, it doesn't like, it doesn't dislike, it doesn't see. It's just what is seen. Quite different, completely different from the reality which experiences it, which sees it, and falls away rapidly again and again, one at a time, one citta at a time. Just like the moments of thinking now, completely different from the idea or the image that is thought about. The idea or the image doesn't know anything or experience anything, but the thinking experiences the object. No one there to experience anything, but it's a reality which experiences. So it's not about the different words, but just that reality which is experiencing now, quite different from what is experienced at this moment. And it can be known. The distinction can be understood.
You have to hear
Sorry?
that again. To consider.
Yes, and begin to understand it, begin to understand the nature of the reality which experiences, how it's quite different from the reality which is experienced. Like at the moment of touching, the touching experiences what is tangible at this moment, the hardness, for example. The hardness doesn't experience anything, doesn't know anything, but it is the reality which is touched again and again. And what is hard is not something, not anything at all. And the touching is not I that's touching or anyone that's touching. It's just a moment of experiencing what is what is hard, what is tangible. But it has to be assisted by other realities that also experience the object, each one with a different function. So gradually there's more and more understanding, more and more firmly, and more and more confidence of the distinction between the reality which is experiencing now and that which is experienced. And this is the only way to understand more about the nature of Chitta and other realities as not something, not anyone, just that reality which experiences and then is gone instantly. And Panya can develop to get closer and closer to understanding the reality as it is by way of its nimitta, the sign of its characteristic. So the characteristic can appear and be known now. So no doubt between what is the reality which experiences and what is the reality that cannot experience anything at all. And it sounds like words, but they're not words because they're pointing to the actual realities of life at this very moment. Like the seeing that we talked about with Jyotika, quite different from what is seen, and it's now. So it's not a matter of trying to understand or trying to catch it, but the characteristics of the reality of what is seen and what is seeing can appear and can be known. So no doubt at those moments when they're understood that the seeing is quite different from what is seen. No self to be found at all. So the magical illusion is dismantled.
Thank you.
Sarah, just on that point, I actually find the example of the magician or the conjurer to be rather problematic, insofar as it suggests intentionality, and also creates a story around the function of chitta, because there is actually no, when we talk about being deceived or there being an illusion, that is not the consequence of the function, is it? That's the consequence of ignorance.
Yes.
Maybe it's just that I don't find it a very useful example in terms of accessing the idea of not self, of chitta being of the same order as everything else that rises and falls away.
Right.
Could you comment on that?
Yeah, I think you are right. The illusion is because of ignorance. So it's not because of seeing itself. If there was seeing but no ignorance, like in the Buddha's case, then one is not deceived by the magical illusion. But if it were not for chitta, the chief in experiencing arising and falling away very rapidly, there would be no illusion of a person and something there. So it's said that it is consciousness that deceives because it arises and falls away. So all the other realities, the other Chaitasikas, for example, they also rise and fall away at the same speed. But because Chitta is the chief, without seeing, there would be none of these other factors. So actually, it is the illusion about all realities which arise and fall away that is taken for something because of their falling away in such rapid succession. So this is why it is Chitta that is said to be like a magical illusion, because it falls away so quickly, but implied all the other Chaitasikas arising and falling away with Chitta are also a magical illusion, because they're all taken for something, my memory, my attention, my feelings, whatever rises and falls away is part of the illusion, as you say.
But the mistake is actually it's on the part of the consciousness that experiences. It's not the illusion is not intrinsic to the experience, is it? It's like something that is added by way of thinking about what is experienced,
Yes.
the type of thinking that follows the experience.
Yes,
so that
if there was no ignorance following it, there would be no illusion. But still, it is the nature of every Chitta that to arise and fall away. So therefore, the ignorance takes it, latches onto it as being something, someone, because of the nature of it. If there were no Chittas in life, there would be no illusion. But because of their rapid arising and falling away, and because of the accumulated ignorance, it's taken for something and someone all the time.
And if I could just add, just before briefly, Maeve, that in the sutta itself, the emphasis is on the fact that a magical illusion, properly understood, is void, hollow, and insubstantial. And so this is the comparison that's being made, that consciousness is also void, hollow, and insubstantial, properly understood.
And that's the important part, isn't it?
That's the important part, yes.
Yes. Because it's also the nature of ignorance to misunderstand, to make the mistake, to accept the illusion. So ignorance is really just performing its function as well, isn't it? It's not by any contrivance. It's the nature of things that this is what ignorance does when it arises.
Yeah, lack of understanding. That's why I think in the words of the sutta, the emphasis is on proper understanding of the true nature as void, hollow, insubstantial, lacking any substance. And the same with the other. The same with the other similes in the sutta, the lump of foam, the plantain tree, I forget what the others are, but all of them are to illustrate the feature of being void, hollow, and insubstantial, of those attributes of the conditioned reality.
I just, if I may, just Maeve, I just see it as an analogy that enables the truth seeker. It's pointing to the truth that there's a very famous, I was just trying to remember before, in the Dhammapada, when the Buddha says, Passa Chittikatam Bimbam, he's saying passa, which means just look at this mind-created image. It's yes, ignorance certainly is a precipitating factor, but with understanding, it gradually can begin to see that this is just a mind-created delusion. So any of these, whatever, it's just talking about the paina, which is, I believe this means foam, any of these analogies, and there are lots and lots of them in the teachings, and the Buddha is trying to, well, he's pointing to a deeper truth behind what's apparent, and what's apparent, or what's seemingly apparent, and that's what the Dhamma is essentially helping us to understand, that it's just a mirage or any of these other images, and they might seem to be somewhat misleading, but they are there to enable it. That it's the Buddha's way of enabling us to see that there is a deeper reality beyond which is seemingly apparent.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sundara. I think I'm not at issue with that. It's more the possibility that that the story, that particular story of this coming about by way of like a conjuring trick, suggests some sort of now I hesitate to use the word plan, but that it almost goes against the idea of there being no self that does anything or seeks to do anything.
I just see it, yeah, I think again in that situation, it seems to me that the Buddha is pointing the way to an underlying truth that ignorance is covering up. And whatever, and there are many analogies that are used throughout the teachings that that the Buddha points to in that way. It's a vehicle in a way to help us appreciate that there are deeper truths to be known. I don't think there are deeper truths to be known which ignorance continually covers up. And we are seduced, as in the case of that the verse in the Dhammapada, that when the Buddha said passa chittikatam bimbam, look. He's saying, look, it's an imperative, look, passa, look at this mind-created. Chittikatam is mind-made, obviously. It's a pretty straightforward word, that one. At this image, the word image there is bimbam. It's a bimbam. You don't often come across that at all in the Pali. It's just a kind of a mind-concocted image of what. Well, it's actually another name for nimitta, but it's he didn't use the word there, nimitta. He uses the word bimbam, which is similar to that idea of a nimitta, an image that's mind created, and that because of thinking, we come up with this idea of a beautiful whatever, a beautiful person. In this particular case, in the Dhammapada, there was the monk who was seduced by the woman. And the Buddha, after she died, the Buddha said, look, and to the other monks too, or the other bhikkhu, to look. He's helping them to understand that there is another deeper reality. And all the whole of the teachings seem to me are geared towards helping us understand those deeper realities which ignorance continually covers up.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Sundara. I mean, I think the opening words of the Dhammapada of with our thoughts we make the world, and
that's totally true. It's actually another really good example, and that's elaborated on.
yes.
Also, that word Maya, that mind-created illusion of the different Dhammas, that we come up with these different things and people and objects and whatever. That's a really good example, Kunmaeve, and that's explored further in the teachings. Also, there is an example of that. I'll check into it later on, but that's another example of a mind-made, mind-created idea of the world. It's just a mind-concocted thing. It's nothing to do with reality. That's a very good example, and it is elaborated on in the teachings. Also, I'll check on that later on.
And of course, it's that concoction that causes so much suffering, is the root of the suffering, I guess.
Oh, totally. That's, we're deceived all the time. And that's because there's the momentum and heft of ignorance that's imbued in our world, that the lack of wisdom and the foolishness that happens because of that lack of wisdom and the suffering that's incurred by all, by many and most, because they don't understand that what they see falls away, as Sarah Moment just meant. It vanishes. It vanishes straight away. But because of that nimitta, or that bimbam, or whatever you like to call it, thinks about those realities, those dhammas in a distorted way, and comes up with the idea of people and things continually. So this is the problem of ignorance, that's unable to, and ignorance is not able to penetrate and understand. It's only panya that can do that.
Yes, but the problem of suffering, Maeve, is intrinsic to samsara. So there are different kinds of suffering, of course, but in the deepest sense, it is the conditioned nature of realities, the impermanence. And so even for the Arahat, their dhammas are dukkha, are unsatisfactory, and the Arahat sees that better than anyone else. And it's a condition for the ending of rebirth, that truth has been seen. So it's not just the ignorance and the attachment that causes the suffering, but ignorance and attachment cause the continuation of life in samsara, and hence the continuation of dukkha.
That's a useful distinction. So thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you, Sundara.
And you said at the start, Maeve, that it makes it sound like someone or doing something, but we can think of citta as being like the magical illusion, because of the lack of understanding, it's taken for being something all the time, but no one doing anything, no one seeing, no one taking it wrongly. Just different dhammas arising and performing their functions and falling away. So in truth, no one that sees, no one that conjures up anything, no one that has any illusion. Just different realities arising and performing their functions. But anything can be read or heard as sounding like someone doing something, but it's not. It's the part of the illusion that the citas are taken for being someone sitting, standing, looking this way and that way. But actually, they're just different citas arising and falling away, performing their functions, assisted by the cetasikas.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of time left, so let's see if Ajahn would like to add more.
Do you touch now? Anyone? Do you touch now? See, it's a moment of a reality, unknown, on and on and on. If we talk about the story about then, it's known. But when we talk about moment, there, can it be known? Do you see now? See? Very simple answer, or no understanding of that which is seen and the reality which sees. We can talk about then a lot, different aspects, but when it's there, what is touched? If we ask anyone, they will say, I touch a spoon. See? Is it magician? No spoon, but it's the moment of thinking of a spoon touched. But in truth, what is touched is forgotten about its truth all the time. That's why we have to understand each moment by way of intellectual understanding in the beginning, to have firm confidence that it has to be moment of understanding what is there now. Because when one is asked, do you see? They say, yes, I see. What do you see? Something like a doll, or microphone, or television, or telephone, and so on. But is that the truth that we learned? No thought about the truth, because it has to be firm confidence of each reality as it's no one because it's gone. And is it suffering or unsatisfactory? No one at all. Only that which is there at moment when it's there, and then no more. Never to be there again. Just arise and fall away. No one and no thing at all. Just a moment, very short. Is that satisfactoriness or unsatisfactoriness? That's why we talk about dukkha. But what is that? Is it dukkha or joy or attachment or pleasant feeling? That's why we have to understand what is meant in the deep meaning, absolute truth. Very, very subtle. As long as it does not appear as it is the object of ignorance and attachment instantly as something all the time. That's why even right now, what is seen to be truthful, that's why we learn little by little to let go the idea of wrong understanding, wrong view, taking it for something, but in truth, it's gone. And whatever arises and falls away, not all the time, is it satisfactory or unsatisfactory? In order to understand the real truth, the ultimate truth, as letting go, useless, senseless, what is there, non-stop, conditioned to arise and fall away all the time, beginning to understand the truth. Otherwise, there cannot be the understanding of the ultimate truth. That which arises and falls away, never to arise again. on and on and on. By conditions, that's all. No one and no thing at all. That's why it has to be beginning to understand the truth, to let go expectation for any high understanding or strong understanding or more understanding, because it's the moment of understanding what is there, what we are talking about, or at any situation or any time by conditions, and understanding the unnothingness, what is there by conditions, will gradually letting go the idea of self. Not try so hard to let go, but understanding little by little what is there. Seeing is a reality, but is there only seeing, or there are also other reality which is there too? For example, is there like attachment or aversion to the object which is seen or experienced? Different reality. The more there can be the understanding of the truth of whatever is there. It's moment of developing the understanding of the truth to let go the idea of self or something permanent. That's why we learn about what is there as it is. Even what appears is not as it is yet. That's why beginning to understand what is meant by what appears is not as it is. As long as there is the idea of, I see a shoe, a glass, a table, a doll, is it a doll? Or is it that which is seen in a split second and then gone? That's why we heard again and again about what we have heard, on and on and on, until there can be moment of beginning to attend to the characteristic of what appears, even in thought, thinking about it very shortly by condition. But it is firm understanding of the moment that it can be there, from no attention to the characteristic which is touched at all, to begin just very shortly. It's that which is there to be known. And that is the meaning of it does not appear as it is as the hardness of heat or cold, that's all. But it appears as telephone or smartphone or whatever is there, and thinking a lot further than the truth, that it's not that anymore. It cannot be anything. It's only a moment of experiencing an object. That's why the point of listening is to be truthful to the truth, to understand what is true, not to cling to it as something as before. No understanding of the ultimate truth of Ariya Satya, dukkha at all. That's why we begin to develop the understanding of the truth little by little, stage by stage, to have more confidence of whatever appears does not appear as it is yet. It can appear as it is little by little through just understanding. Without understanding, how can it appear as it is? Impossible. And it's this moment. Moment of thinking about it, consider carefully, is conditioned little by little, not to forget about what is there can be directly known, experiencing. When time comes by conditions, unexpectedly. But the truth has to be there. Otherwise, even there is the moment when it experiences, but the object of the experiencing does not appear, cannot be known. But when there's more understanding, even the object of experiencing does not appear. It's time to understand the truth of that which experiences. Because when the object appears, that it experiences appears, it cannot appear. Just one object at a time can be known when it appears. But when it does not appear, but hardness appear, sound appear, visual object appear, how can that which experiences appear? But it's there. So close. So close. Because it's there now. Any moment, any time. No expectation at all. When there be condition to think about it, even to think about it again, all depends on conditions. So consider carefully of the reality which is there. At that moment, when seeing is there, no understanding of it. Is it true? No understanding of it is real. No one there. But it's there by conditions, different from moment of hearing, considering. Right understanding develops gradually, little by little. And when it's more clearer or appear by conditions to be known, right understanding understands that correctly, rightly, not wrong at all. What is there as it is, little by little. So there is not just the reality, citta, which is a chief of experiencing an object, but there are other realities too, arising together at moment of experiencing an object, and the object is still there. When it is rupa, it hasn't fallen away yet. So it experiences the same object, but it cannot see like seeing. So seeing is the moment of the reality, which before that does not see, does not experience the object of seeing. But when there are conditions, it's there. The object of experience is different from moment when the reality which experiences experience the unknown object. Different moments. That's why even citta arises and falls away by conditions too. So I think that it's time now